Welcome to Senet, the ancient Egyptian board game that's older than the pyramids. Yep, you heard that right. This is what the ancient Egyptians used to have fun and play with before there was something as convenient as Netflix. Now, I know Senet sounds all fancy and mysterious, but don't worry, I'm here to teach you how to play ancient Egyptian style without all that excess sand. So, as Alex from Wii Games, let's dive right into it. Alright, so Senet itself is a race. You're going to want to take your pieces and race around the board and ultimately get all 5 of your pieces off before your opponent can. There's 2 different sets of pieces. One that's these cone shapes and the other that are hourglass shapes as well. Now, they're the 2 different teams, one lighter, one darker, and you'll be starting by setting them off in a checker pattern across these red and white squares. You'll be using those to start off your race all the way to the end. The cone-shaped squares are going to be going on the light spaces, and the hourglass-shaped squares are going to be going on the red spaces. Start off on 1 through 10 over here, move all the way through 11 through 20, and finally on this last leg over here, 21 through 30 until you can go and take your piece off the board. Sounds easy, right? Well, don't worry, because this game is very strategic. So, let's talk dice, or rather, let's talk sticks. These dice sticks were used in lieu of a 6-sided die that we use in modern society today as a way to determine different rolls. Now, depending on whether or not it lands on its flat side facing up, or if it has the round side facing up, that'll determine how far you'll be able to move in this game. So, if you take all 5 of your stick dice, you go and hold them all together and roll them all out. Depending on how many flat sides are up, that will represent how far you'll be able to move. So in this case, I only got a 1, so I'll only be able to move my piece 1 square. Which, not exactly the best, but we take what we can get. Now if you roll 2 flats up, then you'll move 2, 3 flats up, 3, 4 flats up, 4. But if you're able to have all of your round sides up, then you'll be able to move 6 spaces. Now, that's pretty cool, right? Now, alternatively, you could use the die to roll, but if it lands on a 5, then you'll have to re-roll, because in ancient Egypt, they don't do 5s. To start the game, you're going to roll off with your opponent until one of the 2 of you rolls a 1. Which in this case, I rolled a 2, but I guess that means I won't be going first. You roll back and forth until one of you gets the 1, and that player will take the dark pieces, or the hourglass-shaped ones in this case. They start rolling, and you keep on rolling, and if you get a 1, 4, or 6, then you get to roll again. Hip hip hooray. But if you roll a 2 or a 3, then you move your piece that many squares and you end your turn. Play shifts to your opponent, but here's where things get spicy. Because if you land on a square where your opponent is, the 2 of you swap spaces. Whoop whoop, which is pretty cool. It could be used for some pretty devastating attacks as well. If you have a piece that's going all the way towards the end, but your opponent just happens to land on you, 2 pieces will swap spaces, and unfortunately, nothing you can do about it unless you get to some of these special protective squares. Now, if you take a look at the board, squares 15, 26, 28, and 29 all have special symbols on them. And don't worry, we are going to get to square 27 in just a second. And these special symbols will allow you to be completely protected. You can't be captured, you can't be attacked, you can't be swapped, you are all in the clear. Now, additionally, there is one other way to protect your pieces. If you have 2 of your pieces move together, like so, over here, then those 2 pieces are completely safe and cannot be captured. That's pretty cool. But what if you have 3 pieces in a row? Well, if you have 3 pieces together, then that forms what we call a block, and your opponents aren't able to move any further past your block. If they roll over, then they have to go 1, whoop, and then they use the rest of their movement to go backwards. If your opponent isn't able to move backwards or forwards, then it just goes back to your turn. So think deviously as you try to move your pieces ahead. Now, back to what I was saying. What about square 27? Well, square 27 has this water symbol on it. And if you land on that, then what-oh, you landed on the trap. You're going to be sent all the way back to square 15. So from right here, on to 15. But oh no, it looks like 15 is already occupied. So what happens? Well, your piece goes all the way back to the start. Now, it stinks because it's a little bit of a punishment, but hey, you got to take a risk if you want to win. Now, to win, you've got to take all of your pieces off the board. In order to do that, you go all the way around to this final row here, and as soon as you reach the final square, all you got to do, move one more, and congrats, that piece is off the board. Now, it doesn't have to be exact, because if you roll greater numbers, you'll be able to carry over that amount of moves to your next piece as well. Now, that's pretty cool. However, there is one thing that you have to be aware of. You are not allowed to start moving your pieces off the board until all of your pieces are out of the first row here. If one of your pieces got cut in the trap and got sent all the way back to square one, then unfortunately, you're going to have to be rolling quite a bit until you're able to get right back into the game. The first person to get all their pieces off the board is the winner. And congratulations, because you now have the title of the Master of Senet. You can go and put on your own pharaoh robes and do a little fun dance. And there you have it. That's Senet. Pretty simple game with a lot of strategy. But hey, that little water trap will keep you on your toes. Who knew the ancient Egyptians were into board games? But hey, I'm all for it because I'm Alex from Wii Games and I always enjoy playing new games. So feel free to go ahead and check out the links in the description to go and pick up a copy for yourself. I'll catch you next time on Wii Games, where even ancient games can make a historical comeback.